A family murdered in the dead of night.
It looks like it just came out of a horror movie.
Months later, police have made no arrests.
These people are still out there.
And provided no answers.
We don't know who's going to be the next victim.
An Aurora police officer is fired for ignoring the screams of a woman in serious distress. And another of President Trump's confidants is confirmed to have coronavirus.
Who killed the Diol family? Why did they do it? 2 months later, and we are no closer to knowing now than when the murders of those 5 family members were committed. Denver police insist they are working the case nonstop, and as of tonight, they have little to show for it.
And until there are arrests, a community will live in fear, wondering how 3 masked men were able to set a home on fire and disappear into the night without a trace. Clayton Sandell has our story.
In this seemingly picture-perfect suburban neighborhood, there is a sinister reminder of extreme tragedy.
This is fully involved. We can't even make entrance to search.
I really hope they got outside. I really hope they got outside.
I mean, we just saw all the flames coming out. We were in complete shock.
3 people escaped.
But after the extinguishing efforts, our crews found 5 fatalities in the lower portion of the building.
5 members of an immigrant family from Senegal, including 2 children, killed in a fire investigators say was arson.
It was then converted into a homicide investigation.
Today, flowers left behind are dry and faded. The charred house stands as a daily reminder of a mystery that 2 months later remains unsolved.
We are worried. We are extremely worried. We don't know why they did it, who did it.
This is one of the worst crimes against immigrants and against Muslims in the history of Colorado.
Jabril Diol, known as Jibby, was 30. He came to America in 2012, graduating Colorado State University with a degree in civil engineering.
And he was like, I just want to be an engineer. My goal is to really become the best engineer I could be. He did never settle for being average. He wanted to be outstanding at everything he did.
He became a U.S. citizen, working for a construction company on a huge freeway project.
We lost just a huge leader in our community, and also someone that we all considered like, you know, a little bit of the example to follow, because he got a great job, was married with his child, and it's just really heartbreaking to lose somebody like that.
Earlier this year, Jibby's wife Aja and their daughter Khadija, just 22 months old, joined him in Colorado.
Family meant everything to him, pretty much, like everything.
Khadija, just a bubbly child and very happy.
Friends say Jibby was generous and outgoing, the kind of husband brave enough to sing his wife a very public happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Aja was such a beautiful soul. Oh my gosh. She wanted to go back to school and become a nurse, and that was her goal, and I know Jibby was supporting her 100%.
Jibby's sister Hassan had also just arrived from Senegal and was working at Amazon. Her daughter Hawa was 8 months old. By all accounts, the family had never been in trouble and was thriving.
What did this community lose?
We lost people who were really community-oriented and who not only cared about themselves, but cared about the community and were examples of the American dream.
These are the 3 people investigators say set the fire, captured by a neighbor's security camera, faces hidden behind eerie masks, driving this dark sedan.
They were wearing masks and hoodies, and it just looks haunting. It looks like it just came out of a horror movie. Just very crazy.
But despite dozens of tips, help from federal agents, and a $40,000 reward, investigators say there are few solid leads.
Have you been able to narrow in on any kind of motive?
That's one of the frustrating things as well. So no, I don't have a specific motive.
With few answers and no arrests, frustration is growing. Along with fears, the family may have been targeted because they were black, Muslim, immigrants, or all 3.
And while it may be just some sort of cosmic coincidence that these individuals just targeted these folks as a random act of violence, common sense would tell you that there's a lot more here.
There's concern that this is either racially based or based on the religion of the family, who are Muslim. We don't have anything to suggest that they were targeted for those specific reasons, but it's not something that we've ruled out as well.
Denver police say the case is a top priority.
This case has the full attention of the Denver Police Department, the resources of the Denver Police Department. We're doing everything we can to make sure that this case gets the attention it deserves and this family gets the justice they deserve.
But as time passes, the small, tight-knit Senegalese community here worries the case will fade without answers to the most important questions.
Why? What have they done? This loving family.
We're not satisfied, and every day that goes by and these people are still out there, we don't know who's going to be the next victim. 5 precious lives was taken away, including babies. So anybody that's out there, if you have a heart and you care about human being, come forward and just help us solve this crime.
Clayton Sandell, Denver7.
The decision is final. An Aurora police officer will, in fact, be fired for failing to care for a woman in his custody. Levi Huffing admitted to hearing his passenger in the back seat of his cruiser scream and say she couldn't breathe as she lay on the floorboard of his cruiser. At no point did he make even the slightest effort to check on her. And in a statement, Chief Vanessa Wilson said, quote, "Acts like this, like his, take away from my officers who every day make a positive difference in the lives of our community." Our colleagues at the Denver Post reporting tonight that 2 members of Colorado Congressman Doug Lamborn's staff have tested positive for coronavirus.
Those employees are based out of Washington. And the article says Lamborn is now back in Colorado, down in the Springs, and refusing to get a test. At the White House, senior advisor Stephen Miller, the latest member of President Trump's inner circle to have COVID. That makes 19 positive tests.
Also today, Facebook removed a post by President Trump in which he falsely claimed the flu is deadlier than coronavirus. Twitter labeled the statement misleading and potentially harmful, but did not take it down. And since we apparently still need to discuss this, the deadliest flu season in the last 10 years was between 2017 and 2018, when 61,000 people died. 210,000 have died from COVID-19 in the U.S. this year, including 1,983 Coloradans. Today, Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell called for another stimulus plan to help the economy recover. And to that, President Trump responded by calling off all stimulus negotiations until after the election. The Dow closed 375 points down a short time later. Now, late tonight, the president tweeted he would be open to just sending out another round of stimulus checks, a certain non-starter with Democrats and likely with Republicans as well.
We'll expect the stimulus to come up certainly during tomorrow's vice presidential debate. Senator Kamala Harris and Vice President Mike Pence will take the stage 7 o'clock. USA Today's Susan Page will moderate what's expected to be a much more civil affair than the one between President Trump and Joe Biden.
Senator Cory Gardner and former Governor John Hickenlooper will meet here on Friday for their first televised debate. The conversation begins at 5 o'clock. It ends at 6:30. I'll be moderating alongside journalists from Colorado Public Radio and the Denver Post, and we do hope you will join us.
The golf team at Limon High School might just be the most competitive in the state.
This despite only being around for a few weeks. Denver7 reporter Russell Haythorne and photojournalist Drew Smith with more on a group of kids determined to make the most out of a rough situation.
When they first teed off this fall,
we try and give 100% effort.
The Limon High boys golf team.
We just kind of got to keep moving forward and keep doing our thing.
Played with the same competitive spirit they always have.
Well, that was close. They just want to compete.
After all, Badger pride is not just an empty expression.
2 back-to-back championships.
2-time state champs.
Yet this team isn't exactly what you might expect.
Some of them I've never even picked up a club before.
This year,
Corey Taha, Gage Hilferty, Jordan Rockwell, Limon High School.
The Limon golf team,
Kean Bandy,
is actually
Trey Hines, quarterback, offensive lineman, running back.
The Limon football team,
wide receiver, defensive lineman.
Forced into a more socially distant sport by the coronavirus.
It's a work in progress for all of us, I think.
I've never really been a golfer.
In fact, there was no golf team at all in Limon until Corona hit.
Because they were kind of, what are we going to do? And I said, well, we can create a golf team. Almost half joking, kind of hoping that it wouldn't happen, and it did. So
what it did,
that's hilarious,
was kept this team together.
About 22 kids out here.
Kept them social.
I'm definitely glad we're just doing something out here and not sitting at home.
And kept them competitive.
The loss of football.
I'm definitely learning something new and getting better at it.
A little diversion.
You got to have the nice proper clap and not the yelling or screaming.
For the reigning back-to-back state football champions.
Hopefully this year we can do the same thing.
With photojournalist Drew Smith in Lyman, Russell Haythorne.
1, 2, 3.
Denver7.
Badger pride. Gosh, that's great. The team wrapped up the golf season a couple weeks ago. Given the option, Lyman has decided to play football this fall. Their season opens Monday against Yuma at home.
The money was to get them through the pandemic.
I lost all my income and my husband lost all his income.
Turns out the state messed up in giving it to them, and they need the cash paid back in full.
They're telling me, hey, you actually owe $6,000, and if you get off unemployment, you have to pay it right away.
Plus, a frontline worker finds himself in the fight of his life, and why certain Kia models avoid recalls even as they continue to catch fire.
I'm hurt. I'm mad. I've got questions. Why?